Good day everyone. We are from Group 3 and we will be presenting on the material syllabus. The first interpreter is known as the material writer. Hence, we have the material syllabus. While the material writer writes his or her material, he or she makes assumptions on several aspects such as the nature of language learning, and language use.
Moving on to the next point, when talking about a material syllabus, the syllabus acts as a table of contents for the course. Some of the contents included are, first and foremost, what are the purposes and objectives? The second one, how the objectives will be obtained. Next, what materials will be covered. And last but not least, what are the procedures, assignments, and policies?
Next, we will talk about author's assumption. In writing materials, the author adds yet more assumptions about the nature of the language learning, and language use. The author decides the context in which the language will appear, the relative weighings and integration of skills, the number and type of exercises to be spent on any aspects of language, the degree of recycling or revision. These can all have their effects whether and how well something is learned. For example, if certain vocabulary items are presented in text which appeal to the learners, they are more likely to be remembered because the learner's attention will be more involved. Authors assume what is best for the learners according to the needs of the specific field.
So the next point is the author decides the context, as in the language, relative weightings and integration of skills, the number and type of exercise to be spent on any aspect of language, also the degree of recycling and revision. So this point refers to the many different fields that have their own specific terms and own documentation. Let's look into legal field for an example. In legal field, we have the specific terms such as act, clause, legitimate and void. As for the documentation, we have contract, case report and legal agreement. So for the author to decide the context, the author will look into these kind of things that can help the learners to be developed into the language itself and also the aspect of the language, such as the specific terms and also the documentation, which actually brings to our next point, that is the kind of context and materials that can effects on the learner whether and how well they learn something.
One of the most important syllabus materials is the textbook. According to McKinsey 2002, it has a greater impact on students' learning than the instructor. A textbook is chosen, reviewed, and proposed by an organization or faculty members or instructors. These are some of the considerations when using a textbook for a course. Firstly, it needs to fit with the course objectives. Next, it needs good readability, organization, user appeal, relevancy, and cost. Besides, it also needs proper difficulty for the student's level of proficiency. The most critical question to consider is whether or not it fits with the course objective. An instructor should evaluate a textbook based on the readability, organization, user appeal, relevancy, and cost. If the reading level is too easy, it will not maintain the student's attention, yet if it is too difficult, it will frustrate the students. A well-organized book should allow students to see how the information is outlined and they can easily identify the concept. If the student have to spend a lot of time understanding the format or outline of the textbook, they will have less time for applications. Textbooks that are visually appealing with color charts and pictures can motivate and stimulate students to learn more about the topic. The textbooks that have relevant and up-to-date information also important in stimulating students' desire to learn more. If the textbook offers examples that students are likely to face in the workplace and the information that is current, they are more likely to be interested in the subject.